The legacy recruit of all legacy recruits, NC State football has officially landed their golden goose. Top 2027 quarterback Gunnar Rivers has committed to the NC State Wolfpack.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Our Monday show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda puts that same drive into each and every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in work that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Mazda moving the game forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. The Eagle, well, hasn't quite landed yet, but is committed to land in Raleigh, North Carolina. Top 10 quarterback in the 2027 recruiting class, Gunnar Rivers. Yes, that Gunnar Rivers has committed to the NC State Wolfpack, the first high school age son of Philip Rivers. And I say first because obviously, there will be more. Gunnar Rivers, he is an elite prospect in the 2027 class. As I said, he's widely regarded as a top 10 quarterback in that class, depending on which recruiting service you tend to look at. But obviously, he has the pedigree, he has the name, the legacy aspect of this for NC State. Dave Doeren and this NC State football recruiting staff, they have landed the legacy recruit of a lifetime.
Well, Grayson, we never talk politics on this show, but I believe we're going to get about, 4 or 5 more representatives in the House based on the Rivers plan coming back this way?
Yes, sir.
I mean, boy, they bring a whole gaggle of kids with them. But in all seriousness, Gunnar is a big-time quarterback, right? When you talk about the quarterbacks that we've had and the player development that we've had here, I want you to guess, Grayson, when's the last time we had a quarterback rated this highly coming to the Pack?
I was going to say maybe Devin Leary, but I think, the legacy aspect of this, it just makes the whole ordeal bigger.
Exactly. And mind you, if we're talking strictly hey, when's the last time we had a 4-star quarterback? It's been quite some time, but let alone a 4-star legacy of an NFL player, an NFL Hall of Famer, might I add, who, if he didn't keep setting back his clock to get in the Hall of Fame every couple of years because somebody calls him off the couch, he'd probably already be in. So, this is a massive, massive get for the Pack. And here's the thing. When you bring in that good quarterback, a lot of the pickups that we got in the portal were skill position guys. You don't think it's easy to sell a guy? Hey, listen, that school over there may be offering you $30,000 more, but their quarterback, I mean, come on now. He's throwing shrimp po' boys out there. That boy is throwing the sweet onion chicken teriyaki right down the middle of the field. You understand? You come on over here, and this quarterback is going to change your life. He's going to make teams finally recognize you as the NFL talent you are. We're seeing that effect with C.J. Bailey. If Gunnar can live up to the expectations that are being placed upon him, and let me make this clear. I said this about Cam Boozer earlier, and I also want to apply this to Gunnar Rivers, right? Let's not go out there throwing out words like, oh, he's a generational recruit and all that type of stuff. Because here's the thing. When you throw out words like that, they mean something. If you call a guy generational, you know what that means? You see him once in a generation. Now, I'm not saying anybody's saying that Gunnar is generational, but I'm saying the expectations put upon him should be, hey, we're expecting a damn good quarterback. We're expecting the kid that's going to come in here, do things the right way, progress, get better. And there are 3 categories of quarterbacks that I believe you have, okay? I say this a lot. If you've been here for a while, you already know what I'm going to say. You have quarterbacks that you win because of, meaning Lamar Jackson at Louisville. That was a quarterback you won because of. If you take Lamar off that team, they might win 4 games a year. But because Lamar was putting up video game numbers, you win because of him. Cam Newton at Auburn. That's another one that you win because of. You can even do it with pocket passers. Drew Brees when he was at Purdue. That's a quarterback that you win because of. And then you got your quarterbacks that you win with. He's not great. He's not terrible. He's not going to kill you, but he's not going to win you a game. Think what Lil Ben Finley did against the Dirty Foot Club a couple years ago, right? He didn't have a terrible game. He didn't have a great game. He was just steady as she goes, right? That's what you're looking for out of most college quarterbacks. You're happy if you get like we can win with this guy. Like he's just the quarterback from Penn State comes to mind. Drew Aller, the quarterback you win with. Everybody thought that he was a great like top tier guy, but he was a guy that you win with ultimately. Like
I got one for you, Brennan Armstrong. Not exactly because of him, but we won with him.
Well, I would say Brennan Armstrong, he blurs the lines a little bit because he was like an upper tier. He was an upper tier win with, lower tier win because of. Because it was moments where you're like, every quarterback can't pull up those types of runs, but win because of a win with. He's fine enough, right? Like, don't make him throw the ball 40 times. Don't make him run the ball 15 times, and you're good. That level of quarterback. And then there's a quarterback that you have to win in spite of.
Right.
With all due respect. I don't need to name names. We've had a few of them, right? We've had a few guys where it's like, if this dude could just not kill us, we'd be okay.
If y'all are our age or older, you can name a couple.
Listen, okay? That I remember that Thayer Thomas down there somewhere. Never mind, we're not going to get into that. Anywho, the reality is we've all seen the three categories of quarterbacks. And to me, I don't need Gunner to be the upper echelon of win because of. Because the upper echelon of win because of, that's Heisman winner. That's first rounder, all that type of stuff. To me, if he's at like the lower end of win because of, upper end of win with, I'm all right with that. If that's his ceiling, I'm all right with that. Now, if he shuts me up and says, oh, no. From day one when I walk on campus, I'm the guy that you win because of, I'm happy to have that, but let's not place expectations on him of like, if he walks out of here without a Heisman, if he walks out of here without a 11-win season, if he walks out of here without a playoff, hey, let's slow that down. But I think he'll be just fine here.
I think that actually fits perfectly into this player evaluation that I'm going to read here from 247 Sports. This comes from Andrew Ivins, who's the director of scouting over there at 247. First of all, he lists Gunner's player comp as Phillip Rivers, if you've ever heard of that guy. But he says he's a skilled passer with elite pedigree that has a chance to be a high-end distributor in college and beyond. He enters his final prep season with no shortage of reps for having thrown 10,181 yards and 111 touchdowns in just 3 years. He owns a unique shot-put-like release, like his daddy, feathers the football into tight windows with his touch and timing, makes anticipatory throws from the pocket and will lead his targets, can find some zip but tends to use more trajectory, especially when looking deep. Not one that's been featured much as a runner, but can extend plays and avoid sacks with his mobility and clock. So kind of what Kent was talking about there. This is not like your 5-star blue chip plus Heisman candidate right now type of kid, but he's a really good quarterback. He's very well-rounded. Obviously, he's learned from one of the best to ever do it. Future Hall of Famer in his dad. He probably has a very good grasp of a multitude of different playbooks that he can bring with him to NC State. And that experience, obviously, playing for Phillip and training with him, not just in that high school football season, but I'm sure the summers and springs off the field as well. Like we talked about just a couple weeks ago in regards to this conversation here, Gunner's going to come with some intangibles that you don't really get from a fresh out of high school type of kid, whether that is a 5-star or a 4-star or however many stars you want to slap on them. This is going to be a kid that will be game ready, even as a freshman. Now, we're not exactly anticipating that he'll be handed the reins right away. Think about what he might be able to do with a year under his belt, learning the ins and outs, maybe from a CJ Bailey or a Will Wilson, kind of a handoff type situation there. But there's a lot to be excited about here. It's a very well-rounded quarterback, ton of skill, ton of upside. The legacy aspect is maybe just the biggest bonus you could possibly ask for because talented players are going to want to play with Gunner. That goes to running backs. We already have one of his high school teammates in Noah Moss. I'd imagine the wide receiving core is going to be a very attractive position for NC State to sell, not just through the high school ranks, but also the portal. And you have the legacy. You have the nostalgia. I think this might be the oldest I've ever felt. Now, I wasn't really watching, at least I don't have that many memories of Phillip in an NC State uniform, but I watched the entirety of his NFL career going back to, 2002, 2003. So it's been a while. But to watch a child of Phillip Rivers now come to NC State, boy, man, that is something special right there. Everyone knows what Phillip means to NC State and Raleigh. And every so often when Phillip gets to come back to Raleigh, whether that's like a one-pack event or that clip from years ago where he says Wolfpack is not soft people, it's just so special, the aura that he carries. And now Gunner, and again, to Kenton's point, I don't think we should get like totally overblown and say, this guy is our savior. This is the chosen one. He's going to lead us to the national championship. I think it's really important that we just let Gunner be Gunner. He's not going to be Phillip, but we need to let him be Gunner. Gunner is his own quarterback. He's his own player, his own person. But based on that pedigree, based on the intangibles, I think that person might be pretty special too.
I just had to look something up here. 10,000 yards going into his senior year.
Think about that.
In my 3 years of playing at Cass Tech, none of our quarterbacks threw for that combined. Like literally.
It's crazy.
I played with an All-American quarterback in high school, and that kid didn't throw for those types of yards. That is wow. What a time it must have been to be a receiver on his team. But I will say this, there, like Grayson said, there's a lot of growing left to do. There's a lot of maturing left to do. And I think that this is a really ideal situation. You want to have that plan where one guy leaves and the heir apparent is already there, right? Not only the heir apparent, but also a guy to push the guys that are currently in that room, right? If you do the timing of this, CJ Bailey will either be, if Gunnar Rivers is joining in 2027, that means that CJ Bailey will either be off to the NFL or have transferred, knock on wood, or, be in his senior year. That gives you 1 year of Gunnar just sitting back, learning offense, learning what we do, learning how we do it, learning all those things. And then he gets to take the reins and say, all right, I'm doing my thing. And then for the guys in the room, hey, listen, you're going to straighten up and fly right. When the son of a legend is in that room with you, because you know, with all due respect, that name, in the words of Michael Irvin, it lay heavy, okay? And you can't just you can't just be messing around and mucking around. You got to take every rep seriously, which you should be doing anyway. But that provides an extra incentive because hey, this kid has got the goods. He's one of those ones, as the kids say today. And so, I'm excited to have him here, excited to see what type of talent comes with him. This is an overall exciting time to be part of Wolfpack.
And last point, and possibly the most important point, a ton of credit goes to Dave Doeren, goes to Kurt Roper, and this recruiting staff. They made it their absolute priority that they were in the door, first one in line for the services of Gunnar Rivers. And NC State was his first offer. I think it was maybe like a year and some change ago. They've made it apparent to get every camp, every visit, everything that they can get this kid to come to. They made it well known that Gunnar was their top priority for the quarterback position. And the likes of Texas and Auburn and Georgia, they were all involved, but you've seen them kind of take quarterbacks off the board for 2026, 2027. NC State has not done that. They have proverbially put all of their eggs into the Gunnar Rivers basket, and boy, has it paid off now as you have landed the legacy recruit of a lifetime. When the two of us say generational recruit, we're talking because of the name here, the legacy that this means for NC State. It's not so often that you see a great quarterback go on to produce a son that could potentially be as great or maybe even better at that same university. So it's a really big deal. It's going to be one hell of a college football story. And you certainly hope if NC State can play their cards right in the realm of NIL and donors and rev share, this could be a monumental turning point for NC State football now and in the future. Like I said, recruits are going to want to play with them. People are going to want to pony up the money to get those good players to play alongside of them. This could be a moment in time that gets remembered for a very long time. NC State has landed Gunnar Rivers, a top 2027 quarterback in that class. Obviously, much more to talk about on this topic, but we'll save some of the rest of that for a later date. Just a really, you can't overstate it, understate it, any kind of state this. It's such a massive deal for NC State. It's something that I think we all kind of hoped about for a long time. We joked online. It's like, man, well, if we get Gunnar Rivers, I'll cry in Walmart. I'll drop to my knees in a Walmart. Well, it happened. For all intents and purposes, that might actually be me in about 30 minutes after we're done recording this podcast. But a colossal moment for NC State football fans, Dave Doeren, the staff. You got your golden goose. That is most certainly a job well done. Putting a pin in this conversation, obviously much more to talk about at a later date. But coming up next, switching gears over to the hard court, NC State basketball did not play this weekend, but there were some additional movements in the ACC standing. How much bigger now is the game at UVA on Tuesday night? More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Monday sponsor is Indeed. Workplace chaos. Deadlines stacking up, inboxes are overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is the job for Indeed. Indeed sponsored jobs will help you reach the right people who are actually a fit for what you're looking for. That includes skills, experience, location. You're not just hoping the right candidate will stumble across your post. You are pinpointing them to get them in an interview. Here's a stat that says it all. In just the minute that I've been speaking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who actually check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit in order to help get your job the premium status that it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. PODCAST podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed from our podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed. Thank you again for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayers Club. You can receive access to an ad-free audio feed of Locked On Wolfpack, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You can find our URL at lockedonwolfpack.supercast.com, or you can tap the link below in our show notes. As I said, NC State basketball did not play over the weekend, but the Clemson Tigers have stumbled and fumbled the bag yet again. A 5-point loss to the Florida State Seminoles has now broken up the tie, even though we own the tiebreak regardless. NC State has sole possession of fourth place going into this colossal matchup on Tuesday night on the road against the UVA Cavaliers. Something else to watch if you're listening to this on Monday evening, Louisville plays at the Dirty Foot Club. Now, again, I want to make this very clear. I will never tell you to pull for that team in blue. But something else I will advise you for this evening, a Louisville win, you don't want that if you're an NC State Wolfpack fan. Now, I know NC State controls their own destiny, but if you want to control that destiny in the best possible fashion, you want to see Louisville slide down the standings just a little bit more. We're a game up on them. Obviously, they have the tiebreaker over us. We have the tiebreaker over that team in light blue. So I don't care if they finish tied with us because they can't jump us if we're tied. So in my opinion, I would like to see Louisville lose, but if both teams could lose, maybe that'd be the best outcome.
Hey, listen, Gracie, you know me. I'd rather root for the asteroid than that.
You better believe it.
Light blue school. But now, in all seriousness, Clemson is stumbling, bumbling, fumbling. I mean, boy, this is what, 4 or 5 straight losses for them?
They've lost 4 straight.
Ooh-wee. You know, hey, hate it had to be them. That's unfortunate. But sometimes, and this is why I tell people all the time, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
That's
and
right.
The Wolfpack, we're prepared, and the opportunity is here. And now, according to the most recent simulations, we have a 53% chance of ending up in that top 4. Now, if I had told you coming out of our non-conference play that we had a 53% chance of ending up in the top 4 with our last 4 remaining games, how would you feel about that? How would you feel? Most people would say, hey, I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about those odds. Yes, Virginia is a heck of a ball club. They've been playing some really, really good ball here. Nobody's going to deny that. However, if you can find a way to pull off that upset, you virtually guaranteed yourself. You have virtually locked yourself in and said, hey, we are staking our claim here. We're going to be in the top 4. Okay. So, you know, ultimately, again, things aren't perfect. Not going to sit here and lie and say they are, but this is a situation where you can easily find yourself securing all of Will Wade's goals in year 1 just off this one win. This needs to be a March Madness environment. This needs to be a tournament environment, because by saying this needs to be a tournament environment, I mean the players need to bring that intensity to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
This needs to be that. If there was never any moment that mattered in this season before, this is the one where it is really and truly do or die. Nut up or shut up. This is it. This is the moment where you win this one, you are pretty much good to go with being secured in your top 4 seed.
NC State still does control their own destiny, even if you lose this game, but we don't want to leave it up to that. Go take business into your own hands. We've already played UVA one time. That game was in Raleigh, early January. It was a brutal loss. We lost by 15, never really felt in it, to be quite honest with you. You trailed by 20 going into halftime, and UVA is just not a bunch you can do that with and expect to get away with it. We were extremely slow getting out the gates. The offense sputtered. UVA only has, 4 losses on the entire season? That is no mistake. You don't do that by accident. You score the basketball well. You rebound extraordinarily well. You play exquisite defense. They're a well-coached team, and they're going to want to beat the brains out of us for the second straight time this year. Now, UVA did play over the weekend. They had a very closely contested matchup with Miami. Miami actually had them on the ropes, and UVA kind of won the same way that Miami beat us. Miami kind of fumbled around and stumbled to lead late. UVA took advantage of that. UVA hit some clutch free throws down the stretch and gave him that win. So you know what Will Wade was up to this weekend. He was watching everybody like a hawk. And so he was taking notes of not only Virginia, but also Miami and how they got that game to be what it was. But it's a massive opportunity for NC State. And again, if you win this game, if you take matters into your own hands, you could potentially find yourself in third place on Tuesday night if Miami is to lose to a red-hot Florida State team. So there's still a lot of chaos that has to play out inside the ACC, but NC State, handle your own business. You'll accept the help when you can take it, but these are basketball games that we still got to get up and win. We got 4 games left: UVA, Duke, Notre Dame, and Stanford. Your goal, your absolute goal, should be nothing worse than 3-1. If you go 2-2 and you get enough help, so be it. But you should not settle for anything less than 3-1. Find a way to beat UVA. If you can't get that done, find a way to beat Duke. This team is good enough. Believe me when I say that. This team is good enough to find a way, but it will take a complete effort. UVA is one of the top rebounding teams inside of the ACC, both on the offensive boards and the defensive boards. Will Wade kind of already expressed some concerns about that on Monday afternoons, and the toughness, again, is going to have to be very apparent for NC State. And the last couple times he's called that out, there's been pockets where you've seen it and pockets you haven't seen it. And I promise you, if you don't have it on Tuesday, forget about it.
Grayson talks about needing help and getting help from other teams and all that. You walked into this weekend tied for 4th. You walk out of last weekend tied for 3rd. I'm just saying, it's right there in front of you. It's right there in front of you. So Dabo Sweeney says, sometimes you're driving the car, sometimes you're in the passenger seat, need a little help. But waiting, the boys just grab the wheel back. You just grab the wheel back. Now everybody's going to want to snatch that thing from you. How you going to act? This is not a situation where you're free and clear. You still got some quality ball games ahead of you starting Tuesday. But the reality is, if you win out, you're guaranteed to be in the top 4. If you go 3-1, you're virtually a lock to be in the top 4. Yeah. If you go 2-2, now you've put yourself in some dicey territory where you might need some help, where you might need this team to do this and that team to do that. And you never want to be there. You never want to be in a space where you're rooting and hoping and pulling for other teams. Right now, Dirty Foot Club in Louisville, doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what happens, right? You handle your business, that game does not matter. But if you lose some more, if you lose a few, if you lose 3, if you lose out, now all of a sudden you're at the mercy of everybody else. Control what you can control, and you can control how you go into this game.
And for me, a little bit of optimism heading into this game, even though it is on the road in a tough environment to play. The last time we saw the Cavaliers, we didn't really have any idea what kind of team we were. The offense was sputtering. The defense was very spotty. The rebounding was not all there. The toughness and attitude was not all there. And I believe that Will Wade has successfully checked his team, not just in the media, but I'm sure countless times in practice, several times since then. And every time, like I said, they've responded in a positive manner. So really big chance to do something special here on the road. This would be another quad 1 win in which Florida State, actually, I forgot to mention this, Florida State has been so hot lately that game has now become a quad 1 win for us way back in early to mid-January. So we now have 5 quad 1 wins in year 1 of Will Wade. We had 5 quad 1 wins in the last 4 years combined. Correct. That's a fact. So we're on a positive track here with a real chance to make it even bigger on Tuesday. Massive game. It's going to have to take a team effort. Darian Williams is going to have to show up. Ben Allen Lubin's going to have to show up. Quadir Copeland's going to have to show up. It's going to take all of us. Really big game, really big opportunity. And again, if you want to finish in that top 4, if you take this game, you're virtually a lock in order to accomplish that. Much more basketball talk on the way. Obviously, we'll be live after this game on Tuesday evening. Coming up next to round out our Monday show, NC State baseball. They won the series, but how big of a concern loss on Saturday? We'll discuss after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Monday sponsor is Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's just on the screen. Well, we didn't have a game from over the weekend, so I'm going to give this one to head coach Will Wade. Will Wade reminds us all what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work off the court that makes a difference on it. Dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. Mazda puts that same passion into each and every model. Highlights make the reel, but what it takes to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Mazda, move and be moved. And our third Monday sponsor is FanDuel. Have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Tickets, flights, the whole experience, the whole shebang. You'll love looking at futures this time of year, whether it's just picking a team to win the championship, grab a conference title, player of the year. It all adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com in order to get started. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Last couple minutes of our Monday show, switching on to the Diamond to talk some Pac-9 baseball. A little bit of an odd weekend for NC State over this weekend. They had a 3-game series with the Princeton Tigers out of the Ivy League. NC State did take 2 out of 3, although a very interesting loss in Game 3, the doubleheader that took place on Saturday. We'll get to that in just a second. Friday, Ryan Marone was on the mound. NC State won 6-4. I thought Marone was effective, although gave up a couple early runs. Defense didn't really help him out a ton. But later on in that game, Dalton Bargo hit another nuke in that game to extend the lead and ultimately put it away. But I was really impressed with Collins Black coming out of the bullpen. I know he gave up a 2-run home run to make it 6-4 instead of 6-2, but the stuff that Collins Black has out of the bullpen, you might feel even more comfortable now with moving Jacob Duden to a starter role when you have a gunslinger like Collins Black back there in the back half of the bullpen. But thought overall the pitching for this staff has been really good so far, and that was improved even further on Saturday in Game 1. Jacob Duden, 7 innings, 3 hits, no walks, no runs, and 11 punch-outs. He has looked as good as I've ever seen him in an NC State uniform, and that is saying something. Because this guy was electricity coming out of the bullpen as just a freshman. Stumbled a little bit last year as a sophomore, but ultimately got stronger and stronger as that season went on. And now as a starter here in his junior season, he looked virtually unhittable, Kenton. The fastball's running up there about 97. The slider's wiping out maybe harder than it ever has before. When the offense can give you 16 runs, by the way, we won Game 2 16-1, and you have Duden on the bump, NC State's going to win a lot of ball games.
When you talk about some run support, 16 runs is what you're expecting when you play a lesser opponent, with all due respect to Princeton.
Yeah.
And here's the other part of it. You know, you talk about looking unhittable. That slider is wiping noses right now. I mean, that thing is it is absolutely filthy. The reality of this team and of this staff, Duden has to be the ace. He has to be the star. He has to be the pace setter for these weekend series. He has to be the guy that is setting the pace, setting the trend of, hey, this is who we are. And I'll tell you what, Grayson, when you talk about what we have coming out of our bullpen and all that good stuff right now, here's the thing. We know how baseball is. Sometimes it just happens in that way. A guy catches one and sends it out of the park. If it's not a regular occurrence, I'm okay. Because remember, early last year, Rom-Com Dom was not good. He was not good, right? There were times early in the year last year where we're like, oh, God, this has turned into a horror movie very quickly. And yet he bounced back, recovered, composed himself. And we haven't seen anything to that degree yet this year. So obviously you want to win every game. You want to go undefeated and all that good stuff. I'm all right with a loss. I'm okay with some of our guys getting touched up a little bit. And as the season goes on, we all know that rotation is going to thin out anyway, and the cream will rise to the top. So ultimately, I'm not really concerned about a singular loss to Princeton, especially when you win the series.
The offense was pretty good if you exclude entirely Game 3, which I'll talk about in just a second. But Chris McHugh hit 2 home runs. Ty Head hit another home run. Dalton Bargo hit another home run. Rhett Johnson hit his first collegiate home run. Devin Mitchell hit his first collegiate home run. So the offense was doing their thing, 22 runs in the first 2 games. But game 2, which was the doubleheader on Saturday, they moved up Sunday's game in threat of incoming weather. You lose 1-0 to the Princeton Tigers. Now, I want to make something clear. This is by no means panic at all, because baseball is a lot more fickle than basketball, than football, women's basketball. It's one of the most fickle sports you can play. And I say this often on here, but sometimes I say that's baseball. And ultimately, game 3, to me, even though it doesn't really feel right to say it in this instance, that's baseball. Sometimes you're going to run into an arm that you can't figure out for 7, 8, 9 innings. And I think that was the case for Princeton, even though, listen, Princeton, though, you should win that game probably 10 out of 10 times. So I'm a little bit irked by it because you have a blemish on your record that you absolutely should not have. Princeton was 12-31 last year, so it's not a good baseball team. Probably won't be a good baseball team at all this year either. And so to me, it just kind of felt like a lack of focus. And again, don't get me wrong, I played baseball my entire life. It's hard to stay locked in for 18 innings in one day. Believe me, I get that. But Princeton, we're a team compositively ranked like 17th in the country right now. We know we have the offense. We know we have the defense. We know we have the pitching staff. To me, it just felt like we kind of mentally checked out there for game 3. And that's kind of a shame because Cooper Consiglio, who got the start in game 3, he was great. He only gave up 1 run. I think they had, 3 hits. One of them was a home run. They won 1-0 on basically a solo home run. If that's going to be your weekend starter, you're looking forward to more performances like that, but you can't leave the guy hanging. 0 runs on just a couple hits for NC State. I'm having trouble accepting the fact that they basically just let themselves drift in the dugout. Like, yeah, we got the series win. We're on to next week. We're playing 5 games. Got to get ready for that. I know I'm making it sound like it's a big deal. It's really not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but you let a game slip that you should not let slip. We're too talented. I'll say it like that. We're too talented to let that game slip. And so to mentally check out, it's a little bit irritating. But on the whole, they won the series 2 out of 3 over Princeton. They have 5 games coming up this week. You should look to go 5-0, especially after losing that 1 game to Princeton. But we'll see. The offense has got to be more consistent. The pitching staff, honestly, do what you're doing. The pitching staff has looked really good. Good as advertised, I should say, on that front. So a lot more Pac baseball on the way coming up this week. Looking forward to, hopefully, a 5-0 week. That will do it for us here on Monday. Massive development with the commitment of quarterback Gunnar Rivers. The legacy has landed. Prince that was promised, the first son of Phillip Rivers, is coming to NC State to be the quarterback of the Wolfpack. That is a phenomenal sentence. That is now real. Massive game on deck for the NC State Wolfpack basketball team on the road at UVA Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. tip. We'll be live after the conclusion of that one. If the Wolfpack can pull off that one, you will be sitting pretty for postseason play in a little over 2 weeks to go. That will do it for us here on Monday. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you back here on Tuesday after the basketball game, and until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.